Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, brought to you by our friends over at Brier Grieves Insurance. Are you in need of car insurance or looking to upgrade your car insurance? Well, if you are, there's nobody better in the business to work with than the great people over at Brier Grieves Insurance. They can also help you out with homeowners, flood, boaters, and business insurance as well. So if you need to know more information about them, visit their website, briergrievesinsurance.com, or give them a call at 813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166. It's a Monday edition of the Pewter Report podcast, our second podcast of the day, as it's been a free agency frenzy. But unfortunately, this is the news that Bucs fans did not want to hear. Mike Evans will stay in the NFL, but he is no longer a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That's right. In between our first podcast and before this one, news broke that Mike Evans is leaving the Bucs and signing with the San Francisco 49ers on a 3-year deal worth $60.4 million. So a groundbreaking moment for the Bucs and Mike Evans. 12 historic years in Tampa Bay, a Super Bowl championship, several franchise records broken, some NFL records broken as well. A lot to break down on this show. We know Bucs fans feel very passionate about this, so let's get into it. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me again is Scott Reynolds, the face that runs the place at pewterreport.com. Scott, I don't think we could say it's necessarily shocking news, but it's still feels like a punch to the gut, the reality that Mike Evans has left the Bucs.
Yeah, this is one of those things we didn't want to be right. We didn't. But we've kind of – there have been some people out there, I'm not naming names, some other media outlets that have been rosy about, oh, don't worry about it. Mike Evans is coming back to the Buccaneers, sleeping well at night. Like, never got that impression. Even last night when I published the story about Jonathan Jones from CBS Sports saying for all intents and purposes, Mike Evans is leaving the Buccaneers. I got a reply from a league source that said, hold your horses, like not so fast. And what I didn't really disclose was I got a message from a team source that's saying, yeah, it looks like that's happening. And, the Bucs were hopeful. They were absolutely hoping, praying that Mike Evans would have a change of heart. They threw a very competitive offer to Mike Evans. And as we can see here from the dollar amount, Matt, we're talking, just over $20 million, a year for the 49ers. The Buccaneers offer was more than that. Okay. Then you factor in the discount that Florida, which has no state income tax, due to California, which has a ridiculous, God help you if you live in California. Great views, great, scenery, but man, the tax situation is bonkers out there. But the Buccaneers had an offer out there that would have been more. It just, he wanted to leave. He wanted a change of scenery. He wanted to compete for another title. And Kyle Shanahan hasn't won a Super Bowl ring yet, but he's been in the Super Bowl twice representing the NFC, right? And he is an offensive mastermind. Zach Robinson, I think Bucs fans hope and pray is on Liam Cohen's level, yet to be determined here in Tampa Bay. He obviously was part of the regime that got fired in Atlanta. So I think Mike Evans wanted more of a sure thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, you have to look at this and say he chose Kyle Shanahan over Todd Bowles. I don't
see how else you see it that way. Because, to your point, the 3 years, $60 million, that comes out to, as you just mentioned, about $20 million.
Yeah.
I initially started thinking about the taxes just because we talk about it all the time in Tampa. No state income tax.
Yeah.
The amount of money that Mike is losing just to go to play for a winning team, it really shows how he feels about Todd Bowles, how he feels about the offense, and how he feels about the overall direction that this team is going. Because if you the money to the side, and Mike's made a lot of money in his career.
Right.
If you're looking at the possibility of getting more targets, balling out with stats, and having a chance to win,
Yep.
I talked about other teams on previous shows, the Bills, but that was kind of done with DJ Moore,
Right.
the Patriots, the Chargers. San Fran's right in that conversation too, because they have a ton of talent. Brock Purdy at quarterback, Christian McCaffrey at running back,
Yeah.
Kittle coming off of a serious injury, but at tight end. Wide receiver, they haven't really had that top guy in a little bit. You know, they traded Bo Samuel a season ago. So Mike Evans immediately makes that football team better by going there and can get a ton of targets. So that was one of the first things I thought of, because the fact that it was 20 million, like the Bucs, as you just said, like could match that and give even more.
Sure.
And he's still like, no, I want to go to San Francisco. So grateful to cover Mike for sure. A lot of historic years, 12 years, the Super Bowl, the 1,000-yard streak. But it's a tough day in Bucs history, regardless of all the other signings that they've made today. Losing their greatest offensive player in team history, it's just really tough.
It's a gut punch. There's no other way to say it. It's a damning gut punch, right? It is. And again, it's like, I'm proud of our reporting, Matt, because we've been all over this from the beginning. We've absolutely nailed this story. It was not about the money. I even tweeted that the other day. It's not about the money. It's about the targets. He wants the opportunity to be a focal point while he's still in his prime, the focal point of a passing game. And here in Tampa Bay, he got lost in the shuffle last year, right? And and thank goodness this team drafted Emeka Egbuka, right? Because they needed him, because Mike went out for a spell and missed about half the season, and Chris Godwin missed several games as well. So like, thankfully they drafted Emeka Egbuka, but it kind of came at a bit of a cost, because it's one thing to have to share catches with Jalen McMillan and Chris Godwin. And that was the case in 2024. Remember, Mike Evans barely got to 1,000 yards that season. And that's with Chris Godwin missing all of that playing time from week 7 on. Okay. Mike is concerned about his legacy. He wants to be 1,000-yard receiver. He wants to make history. He wants to be in the top 10 in terms of receiving yards. You can't blame the guy. That's what he wants to do. And he's capable of doing that. He just needs the opportunity, the targets. And so we were right about that. We were right about the fact that it wasn't about the money. And I go back to this. And again, I think Mike is being a good soldier, a team captain, and not throwing Todd Bowles under the bus. There are other wide receivers that have had, loud mouths in the past that have played for different teams that probably would throw the coach under the bus or deliver a parting shot, whatever. Mike is too classy to do that. Okay. But I'm just saying, though, I've never, ever, ever seen Mike Evans as upset as he was on the sidelines of a game in 12 years in Tampa when that 3rd and 28 collapse turned into the 4th and 14 collapse, which turned into the game-winning field goal for the Falcons in that game that he came back and just gave not 100%, 1,000% effort, 12 targets, 6 catches, 132 yards, his last 100-yard game as a Buccaneer. He was disgusted by the play of the defense. There's no bones about it. When you're banging your helmet against the walls of Raymond James Stadium, going into the locker room, as was captured on film, screaming, 3rd and 28. I'm telling you, that was a tipping point. And I'm not saying Mike's decision was made up by then. I'm saying that's something he's probably reflected on, saying, gosh, I just can't trust this Todd Bowles defense. I just can't trust that this defense is going to be good enough. In the 49ers, with Robert Saleh coming back for 1 year, right, like kept it going, right, and kept the 49ers in the playoffs. And now he's gone, and Raheem Morris is there. Raheem Morris, say what you want about him as a head coach, damn good defensive coordinator. He won a Super Bowl with Sean McVay, with Raheem running the defense, just down south in LA in the Rams organization. So I can't blame Mike for wanting to go to it seems like a more Super Bowl ready team than the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and even with some of the injuries that San Fran has had on the defensive side and offensive side too, their offense has still been consistent, whether it was, Mac Jones coming in for Brock Purdy and having to play, and the injuries they had to Kittle, and they didn't even have their other top wide receiver for the entire year because contract wise and everything else that didn't work out either.
Yeah.
So now you add Mike to that team, and they're in a very, very tough division with going up against the Rams and the Super Bowl champion Seahawks, but they're certainly gonna pack a better punch with Mike on the team than with anyone else that they could have really acquired. And again, like a lot of this, we're looking Monday morning quarterback version of it, but essentially the Bucs have decided that they're gonna hitch their wagon to Todd Bowles and guaranteed money to Chris Godwin Jr. rather than find an offensive head coach. They could have done that 2 years in a row now, whether it was hiring Liam Cohen and not letting him out the building that way, or firing Todd Bowles this offseason and going in a new offensive direction. But instead, you keep Bowles, you lose out on Mike Evans, your greatest offensive player in team history. There's a big question mark on Chris Godwin Jr. going into this year, and I hope he can find that version of Chris Godwin Jr., but we can't sit here and guarantee that at this point. You also lost Jamel Dean. That was the other news that just came out in between our podcast, where Jamel Dean's going to Pittsburgh. He's with the Steelers now. So, yes, there were some big signings with Alex Anzalone at inside linebacker, but you lose out big time, not just with Dean, but obviously with Evans as well. So the Bucs have hitched their wagon right now. It seems like to the wrong suitor right now. And, Todd Bowles already has a lot of anger towards him from Bucs fans. It's only going to get louder and more fierce. And the same's going to go for Jason Light as well. Because right now, the Bucs' big signing on offense, Cade Otton. Their big loss, Mike Evans. And for many people, that's unforgivable.
For sure. So you mentioned Jamel Dean. We can sum up Jamel Dean in 3 pictures here, right? Career year last year, the pick 6, 3 interceptions, right? Stayed relatively healthy in a year where he had to take a massive pay cut to stay in Tampa Bay, but then he could not wait to get out the door. There was zero chance, he was coming back to the Buccaneers. Once they made him take the pay cut, like it wasn't happening. But this is the first picture. Second picture is this is what the Steelers are getting. And I love Jamel. I do. And I hope he can build on what happened last year. But, history is too painful to ignore sometimes. Dropped interceptions, right? That was the Lions game. That was a dropped interception on the first drive of the game in the end zone. The Lions had to kick a field goal. But, what could have happened if Jamel had come up with that interception, gave the defense some juice that day? Remember, up to the the next year in 2024, the Lions quarterback, just Jared Goff, absolutely had Todd Bowles' number and just shredded the Buccaneers twice in that season, the creamsicle game during the regular season and then the playoff game. So there's Jamel Dean dropping an interception, and then later in the game, going out with injuries. So with Pittsburgh Steelers, buyer beware. You're getting a guy that is an absolute treasure to talk to in the locker room. Love Jamel, a friend of Pewter Reports for sure. But man, at age 29, it's a lot of money to be paying a guy that is oft injured and doesn't typically make a lot of plays. So I think the Buccaneers, if you're looking at it from the Bucs fan standpoint, nice big contract, and maybe that nets the Buccaneers. Well, they're not going to get a compensatory pick for Jamel Dean. I think he tweeted that out too, and that's wrong. They won't get a compensatory pick for him, but maybe they will for Mike Evans, depending on what they do from a free agency standpoint. And we'll see what type of contract Rachaad White gets, for example.
Yeah, that's true. And it's 2 more players that, were on that Super Bowl winning team. There's only so many players left on Tampa Bay's roster. I mean, at this point, it's Vita Vea. It's, remaining Super Bowl champs. So Godwin, obviously, Vita Vea, Tristan Wirfs, Anthony Nelson, Antoine Winfield Jr., and then we'll see about Levante David. But, I guess we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now, maybe 6 with Levante. But, Yeah, that's life in the NFL.
Yeah,
Every season teams re-gear and regroup, and yeah, Mike Evans after a historic career with Tampa Bay. I mean,
yeah,
866 catches,
yeah,
13,052 yards, and this is just the regular season. 108
yeah.
touchdowns. So can still build a historic career. There's no doubt about it. Trying to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, needs a couple more touchdowns, needs some receiving yards.
Yeah.
But I do wish him the best in
I do
San
too.
Fran. It hurts to see him leave Tampa. I am curious as well. Brock Purdy is number 13.
Yeah.
Is he giving that number up to Mike Evans, or what number is Mike wearing?
I don't know.
Slightly curious. I'm sure Bucs fans don't care about that,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah, we'll see. I don't know. That first look of Mike in a San Fran uniform, it's going to be weird.
I know it is going to be weird. And to this graphics point here, Vita Vea and Anthony Nelson are in contract years, right? So you could be down to Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. next year, and I think this year is kind of a contract year for Chris Godwin, even though he's under contract in 2027. That will be determined by how well he performs this year, because he has $20.5 million coming in base salary in 2027. So he's got to earn that with a really, really, really good bounce back year in 2026. Otherwise, he and maybe Vita Vea and Anthony Nelson could be gone. Then you're looking at Wirfs and Winfield, the rookies from the 2020 season, as the only remaining Super Bowl champions. Time flies, man, in Tampa Bay.
It does. So, this is going to be on Todd Bowles and Jason Light, who each were big on, them winning the Super Bowl in 2020. It's going to be up to them to really help steer this ship. And I'm putting a lot of this onus on Todd Bowles as well, because I think a lot of us can say that's a big reason why Mike is not back with this team. And if Todd doesn't kind of figure out the defense, well, the Bucs are kind of at square one all
right.
over again. If they can't fix the defense, are you going to have a one and done offensive coordinator once again? And then you're just kind of wiping the slate clean on everywhere with the coaching staff. So, there's talent on this team still. There's no doubt about that. And we said that before Mike Evans left, and we'll say it after Mike Evans left as well. But, this coaching staff needs to pick it up, and Jason needs to make sure that these signings and these draft picks coming up in the next 2 months are able to hit as well, because the Bucs they're certainly on the brink. Like, they could have a successful season, but things are not trending in the right direction between how their season ended and how their free agency has began.
Right.
A lot of question marks going into 2026.
Yeah, for sure. And when you look at the Buccaneers last year, Todd Bowles is not wrong, right? I think the only blowout win they had was what, by 20 points at New Orleans against a Saints team that was downtrodden, that was kind of in between quarterbacks. Remember, Dylan Gabriel started that game. Tyler Shuck actually threw his first interception against the Buccaneers in that game in the second half when he was pulled, or when Dylan Gabriel was pulled in favor of Tyler Shuck, and then Shuck got the revenge in the rematch. Played much better towards the end of the season, but the Buccaneers got blown out by the Patriots. Well, is that a blowout? It felt like a blowout, didn't it?
No, I mean, the Bucs had the ball with under 2 minutes with a chance to win the game.
Yeah, but they got blown out by the Rams for sure. And then
no doubt
they still couldn't keep up with what Todd Bowles' defense was allowing. Josh Allen, those 6 touchdowns, 3 on the air, 3 via the ground in Buffalo. So there were a couple of blowouts that the Buccaneers were a party to. But otherwise, a lot of those games were close. I mean, that's just a fact. The 49ers game was fairly close. That might have been another blowout win by the Buccaneers, if you can say that. But I mean, the Buccaneers were in control of that game. Let's say that. But
definitely.
They had narrow wins versus the Seahawks, the Falcons, the Texans at the start of the season, the Jets. Yeah, they had a narrow loss to the Eagles, and they had a bunch of narrow losses down the stretch there. So in one hand, you can sit there and say the Buccaneers are close. But at the same time, how many bad teams just don't make those plays at the end of the games and just don't, get over the hump? And that was something Tampa Bay could not do down the stretch. They just couldn't win those close games outside of the Cardinals game, really. So we'll see what this roster, how it's constructed, and what it has in store for this team. But I don't think they're going to be doing much at wide receiver. They're going to roll with the guys that they have drafted and stockpiled for the future. And without Mike Evans, the future is now Emeka Egbuka, Jalen McMillan, Tez Johnson, and Chris Godwin, the holdover. So we shall see. We've got a lot of super chats to get to. Let's start right in with those, Matt.
Yeah, appreciate everyone joining us. We understand the anger, frustration, and your feelings about, a player that means so much to everybody. So we're going to get to every super chat. And so we'll start off with Bart Harley Jarvis. Thank you for the $13.99, who says, working in pro football PR for years, I know one thing: players and teams lie about everything. Defies belief that the direction under Bowles had nothing to do with this. Love Mike, no hate at all. Isn't it even more of a dagger that it was, of all people, John Lynch, the former Buccaneer, is the guy that poaches Mike Evans from Tampa to bring him to the other Bay Area?
Yeah.
But I think Derek Gilmore, Mike Evans' agent, his statement about essentially why he's leaving the Bucs and why he's signing with San Fran, I think that provided a lot of information without directly saying it about why Mike doesn't want to be with the Bucs anymore.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of blame to go around, but it's not a good look for Todd Bowles. It's not a good look for, I think, Baker Mayfield and really the offense, really the whole team, but Jason Light too.
Yeah, and let's just take a bit of a pause here. Derek Gilmore texted me, as well as other members of the media, about Mike and his decision to leave. And so we'll go ahead and share that right now. This is what Derek Gilmore had to say. And this is a direct quote here. So he says, after 12 remarkable seasons in Tampa Bay, Mike Evans felt a desire to challenge himself with a new chapter in the final stage of his career. Throughout his entire career, he has pushed himself to grow, compete, and evolve as a player. And this decision reflects that mindset. Mike has tremendous love and respect for the Buccaneers organization, the Glazer family, the coaches, his teammates, and especially the fans in Tampa Bay who have supported him since the day he was drafted. Tampa will always be home to him. He is deeply proud of everything they accomplished together. He also has a great belief in the future of the Buccaneers wide receiver room. Mike has tremendous respect for Chris Godwin and believes that Jalen McMillan, Emeka Egbuka, Tez Johnson are incredibly talented young players who will thrive as they continue to develop and take on larger roles in the offense. At this stage of his career, Mike's goals remain the same as they have always been: to compete for another Super Bowl, to play in an offensive system that challenges defenses, and to be in an environment where he can continue to push himself and contribute at the highest level. The Buccaneers made it clear they would have loved for Mike to finish his career in Tampa and potentially become just the fourth player in franchise history to spend his entire career as a Buccaneer and ultimately walk into Canton representing the organization. Mike Evans' decision to leave Tampa was never about money. The Buccaneers were extremely aggressive in their pursuit and presented a very strong offer, demonstrating how much they value him and everything he has meant to the franchise. In the end, this decision simply came down to Mike wanting a new challenge and a fresh opportunity while he still feels he has a great deal left to give the game. Tampa Bay will always be a special place for Mike Evans, and his respect and gratitude for the organizations and its fans will never change. So, and you know what? I've had some conversations with Derek Gilmore, and I believe that. This is not about the money. The Buccaneers could have ponied up 20, 22, 25 million. He still would have picked the 49ers. This was about going to play with Kyle Shanahan, going to play for a Super Bowl contender, and going to be more of a focal point of the offense than he was going to be here in Tampa Bay, which has a lot of mouths to feed. And we've said this before, Matt, and we'll say it again. He saw Tom Brady do it. He saw Tom Brady go from being an icon for the Patriots to becoming an instant legend in Tampa Bay by winning a Super Bowl ring. And who have we talked about that has kind of made that crossover before himself? John Lynch, Buccaneer legend, Buccaneer Ring of Honor. He goes to Denver, makes the Pro Bowl multiple times out there, and is in the Broncos Ring of Honor too. So John Lynch has kind of seen that happen before. Mike Evans has seen that happen before with Tom Brady, and now he's getting a chance to live it. And if he can be the guy that pushes the 49ers over the top in the NFC, in the Super Bowl, he too will be a shared legend between Tampa Bay and San Francisco.
Especially an organization that has not just legendary players, but legendary wide receivers as
Jerry
well.
Rice.
Going back to Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
T.O., I know T.O.'s known for some other teams as well,
Yeah.
but he began his career in San Fran, and Mike can certainly be that as well. And if they win a Super Bowl, I don't know if Mike's going to play all 3 years, but if they do win a Super Bowl in his time there, I mean, first ballot's not even in question anymore. There is the other side of it, as Geist 8569 brings up with this $2 super chat. Thank you. Says his hamstrings aren't getting any younger. And he's going to a San Fran team that just gets plagued by injuries all the time. There's that electrical system thing going on, which, it can somewhat be legit. I mean, if the 49ers are looking into it, I mean, that has to be taken into serious consideration. And Mike has missed a fair amount of time over the last 2 years. There's no denying that at all. Going to a San Fran offense where there's a lot of motion, there's a lot of moving parts with Mike. I mean, there's a situation where this does backfire for San Fran. I'm not rooting for injury for Mike, but I mean, I wouldn't sign him up for playing 17 games this season.
No, I wouldn't either. Yeah, for sure.
K-Lear 2, thank you for this $5 super chat, says Kyle Shanahan is leaps and bounds above Todd Bowles. It's clear Mike didn't believe Tampa Bay or Todd Bowles could get the team to a Super Bowl. Kyle will definitely get Mike the football.
I think that's all facts.
Yeah.
I mean, his actions spoke that. Now, if this was a thing where the 49ers said, we're paying you $27 million, Mike, then we might not know how far Tampa Bay was willing to go, right? But the fact that it was 20, guess how much Mike was making here in Tampa? 20? You don't think that they could have ponied up at least, hey, Mike, we'll give you exactly what we gave you last time to stay in Tampa. Oh, and you're going to save a shit ton of money because the California taxes are outrageous out there. And so 20 million there and 20 million here, you're going to make more money here. What about the money? You want to play for Kyle Shanahan. That's
and that's the other thing too. I'm sure after a while, and Mike has been on the record before being like, I don't really care who the offensive coordinator is, but I'm sure there's got to be a peace of mind going to San Fran. Like, he knows who the offensive coordinator is going to be. He knows
for
the guy
next 2 years.
And that ain't changing. That ain't changing unless they completely plummet, which I don't think any of us believe that'll happen.
Right.
He's had to deal with one and done offensive coordinators for the last 4 to 5 years in Tampa Bay. That's got to get a little annoying after a while. He's going to have to learn a new system this year. But I mean, with the track record that Shanahan has, it's no sweat off the back of Mike. As Kings Are Awful says, and Scott reiterated this as well. Thank you for the $2 super chat. He chose Shanahan over Bowles. Incredibly smart. And I know the Bucs beat San Fran this year, but you look at some of the other seasons where San Fran against Tampa Bay, San Fran wiped the floor against the Bucs when all things considered, when everybody was healthy on each side.
Oh yeah.
They were absolute blowouts. And the one time the 49ers played Tampa in Tampa for the first time in a while. Mac Jones, Fred Warner got injured right away. There was a lot of injuries to that team. Yeah. So Kings Are Awful with a $2 super chat. Thank you. Says, in quotations, we love Bowles. Well, I hope you love empty seats. There's a message to the Glazers.
Yep. I can see that. I can see it coming.
Henry Gigante has now been a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for 19 months now. Thank you so much. I remember I was clowned on when I said Mike was going to leave and ring chase. Loved Mike, but $20 million for 3 years is ridiculous. The defense needs more help than the offense. Okay, so you're looking at this as you love Mike, but you're not exactly sad to see him move on with all the other dealings that the Bucs have coming up with just trying to get the best defense you can get out there. I like the positivity side of it for sure. And there is a world where the Bucs make a couple of great signings, and it's like, wow, thanks, Mike Evans, for leaving because we were able to get this guy, and this guy. But until that happens, until that product is shown on the field, it's all kind of speculation and hopes and hypotheticals at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I take no pleasure in us being right at Pewter Report about this, but it's like We just didn't think Mike was going to come back. I think for most of the time, I think the only little buoy of hope was when the Bills traded for DJ Moore. We're like, okay, maybe now it's like 55-45. Maybe they re-sign him, But yeah, for the most of the time, we've been thinking, no, we don't think he's going to be back, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fans out there that, we're hopeful. I'm not trying to like shame you for having hope. That's not the thing, but it's like, we have sources. When they tell us things, we're trying to just tell you what we know, and it just didn't look good. And that's how it played out. But I know there's a lot of people out there, even some media members, like, oh, he's not going anywhere. Trust us. It's like, I don't know what sources you're talking to, but I like mine better.
Ain't that the truth? Kings are awful. A couple super chats. Thanks for this $5. Says, Mike took a discount to get away from Bowles and the staff. The Glazers are orchestrating dark days, keeping Bowles over Cohen and now Mike. Yeah, I mean, we keep talking about how the Glazers want to avoid the decade of darkness, but they're kind of walking right into it with some of the decisions that they've made, most notably at the head coaching position. But
yeah,
I don't know how else you sugarcoat it.
I know.
Other than just they love Todd Bowles. Why?
Yeah.
Why do they love Todd Bowles?
Right. I mean, I would say this. If I'm the Glazers and it's not my team, my last name is Reynolds, not Glazer, right? But if I'm them, I hope that they conveyed to Todd when they decided to keep him, or maybe they just conveyed him now that they're facing all this backlash from fans over losing Mike Evans. I would say you need to do one of two things. You need to either A, win at least 10 games again, and win 2 playoff games. Like that should be the standard. Like get to the NFC Championship game, or win 9 games and get to the Super Bowl. I mean, I think that's where we're at here. I think that to me should be their ultimatum to Todd Bowles. We're going to keep you around for one more year. You have 1 year to coach your ass off, bring in new assistants, tell Jason to pick better players, whatever, right? But it needs to be, 10 wins and then into the NFC Championship game, or 9 wins and somehow get to the Super Bowl. Because if they can't win more than 10 games under Todd Bowles, he doesn't have a track record for doing it. And you're on the treadmill to nowhere at that point in time. So that to me, that would be what my ultimatum would be if I was the Glazers and I somehow decided to keep the guy.
Yeah, he can't hide behind a crappy division anymore. Or he can, but he's got to go very far. And, I don't think he can really risk doing that. Yeah. By the way, some other news, NFC South related. Tua is going to the Atlanta Falcons. Yep. So they're going to have Tua lefty quarterbacks with Michael Penix and
I see what you
and Tua. But, another quarterback the Bucs might have to prepare for, depending on what's going on in the next season.
And Alante Taylor also left. He was a pretty good cornerback. He
went to the Titans
too. Yeah, went to the Titans. Yeah. So there's
been Titans making a lot of moves today, for sure.
There's been some attrition in the NFC South with David Onyemata leaving the Falcons as well. So,
Kings are awful. Thank you for this $2 super chat. It says Bowles is trending on X and it's complete hatred. A lot of people are mad at Todd Bowles. They were mad at Todd Bowles before the season even ended. There were people mad at Todd Bowles last season.
Yeah.
The anger can be justified to a degree with how, these seasons have gone for these teams.
Yep.
Penn Wallace, thank you for the $9.99. Says, Mike is my GOAT, my NFL LeBron since 2014. He's a model of success. I aspire to as an artist, and etc. I wish him the best and another ring for his legacy. We also share the same birthday year. LOL. Yeah. Nice.
I would rather you say he's your NFL Michael Jordan than LeBron. I don't think Mike's a flopper,
I think Mike was asked by a former Buck who has like a podcast now. And Mike went with LeBron, but I would take Jordan over LeBron. But I mean, Mike's been an inspiration to a lot of people. Yeah. And I think why Mike and Levante David get appreciated so much, it's not just because they were great at their positions. It was they went through the hard times, stuck it out with these teams, won a championship, found success. So anyone saying that he's ring chasing, first of all, like he already won a ring in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Secondly, he could have left a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That's
Tom
right.
Brady never comes to Tampa and, all the butterfly effect from that. But
Yeah.
they went through very, very difficult times and then got out the other side winning a title. So it's not the same type of situation at all.
I agree.
Buck for Life, thank you for the $4.99 super chat, says, we always do the wrong thing. Get dealt the bad hand. I'm prepping for Keldrick Falk or some defensive tackle as a cherry on top. I have so much hate in my heart. ...
I don't want Keldrick Falk. Why do you want Keldrick Falk? He's not a good pass rusher. I don't know. God, if they drafted him, I might have to just pick another team to cover.
Yeah, right.
I'm not a Keldrick Falk fan whatsoever.
Jason, first question, why? Just why?
So true, Matt.
Zach
So true.
Brannigan, thank you for being a YouTube channel member for 13 months. Another homage to Mike Evans. Says Mike went to the 49ers because their head coach knows how to deal with adversity and overcome a severely injured roster. He would have stayed if we had a better coach. It's hard to argue that. The 49ers have been as banged up of a team as anyone over the last really 5 years. So I mean, you can mention all the injuries that Tampa Bay had this season. San Fran had it just as bad.
Yeah,
yet they find ways to win in a tougher division as well.
Yep.
But the only hero, thank you for the $4.99, says, when we didn't fire Bowles, Mike knew we were not serious about winning. He's too classy to call out coaching, but I know that was the number one reason he left.
Here's the thing. This is what Mike Evans just did. Okay. He just signed with the 49ers. Okay. Mm-hmm. Who won the Super Bowl last year, Matt?
The Seattle Seahawks.
Seattle Seahawks in that same division. And I think the LA Rams are probably poised to be the favorite right now. Okay, so you've essentially decided to go to the third team in the NFC West over a team that, believe it or not, I still think can win the NFC South. I mean, I really do. I don't see the Saints at this stage or the Falcons or the Panthers just becoming this 12 or 13 win team. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm just saying it doesn't, there's still a very easy path, I think, for the Buccaneers to win the division and have a home playoff game, et cetera. Right?
Yeah.
If you're the 49ers, that path is not like as easy when you're going up against the defending Super Bowl champions, unless you're hoping for a Seahawks hangover, right? The Rams, I mean, they're still formidable, and they're going to continue to be. So that's ultimately what Mike Evans, and he wants a ring. He wants another chance. Mm-hmm. But to that point, it's like he knows Kyle Shanahan's a damn good coach who can overcome adversity and go toe-to-toe with Seattle, go toe-to-toe with the Rams, right? Buccaneers did beat the Seahawks last year. If you played that game in November, though, Matt, I think the outcome is different, right?
Oh, very much so. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah, and I mean, Mike could have went the route of the Raiders or the Titans and gotten a lot of money, but that's not how he went about it.
Right.
Robbie Gordon, thank you for the $10 super chat, says, Mike goes to the best division in football with the current champs, as Scott just brought up.
Yep.
What does that say along with the price tag? Glazers messed up big. The, quote, love Bowles, or they love Bowles. Well, Glazer kids, you effed up big.
Yeah. I don't know how else they can. I mean, you have to be able to look in the mirror with your eyes closed to sit there and say, it's not our fault. It's not our fault. When your eyes are wide open and look in the mirror, it's your fault. I mean, you kept a guy that is incredibly unpopular with fans, right? And not just for going 8-9, for underachieving and losing winnable games.
Yeah.
Over
starting 6-2.
Yeah.
Losing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, going back to previous years, right? 8-9 his first season and all that. So, I mean, but here we are. Here we are.
Yeah.
We're starting to see some edge rushers come off the board here, right? So we've seen in free agency, Jalen Phillips,
Quiddy Pay just went to the Raiders.
Yeah, Quiddy Pay just went to the Raiders, which I'm fine with. I'm not a huge Quiddy Pay fan. Wasn't a fan of his coming out. Not a fan of his there. The interesting thing is, where did Quiddy Pay play for in college? Michigan Wolverines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who's the general manager there?
So now he's with Switek. Yep, with the Raiders.
And Tom Brady,
guy.
And Tom Brady. Yeah, right. So go blue out there in Vegas. But we've seen him. We've seen Jalen Phillips say basically thanks but no thanks to the Eagles, who traded for him, 3rd round pick. Mm-hmm. Now that's lost, and he signed with the Panthers, right, where he'll play opposite Nick Scorton, and then also we saw Odafe Owe who was traded from the Ravens to the Chargers, and then he signed with the Commanders, 4 years, $100 million. So we're starting to see some of these pass rushers come off the board. Would not be at all surprised if this team makes a play for Joey Bosa. I'm not saying it's going to happen necessarily. I haven't heard that, but I'm just connecting some dots here. This is probably a guy that you wait on him later today or tomorrow. The price tag's going to come down, for him. But, here's Bosa, who played for the Buffalo Bills, was relatively healthy last year, was coached by Marcus West, who was the new Bucs defensive line coach. Kind of makes sense there. 5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, which is interesting. A ton of pressures, was in the top 10 in terms of the pressures and the pass rush grade for PFF. So I'm not saying this would be like a home run signing and would make fans, absolutely crazy like about their Buccaneers again. But he's an option. Trey Hendrickson is an option. Trey Hendrickson, the price tag has to come way down. Yeah. And Matt, when you're competing with Jared Jones out there in Dallas, he's not afraid to spend money. So that's going to be interesting. But if they can land Hendrickson, I think fans might be a little bit more optimistic. Maybe if they settle for Bosa, you have to consider either one of those guys is probably going to be just a 1 year, maybe 2 year option.
Yeah.
And then they'll draft an edge rusher this year.
Yeah, I mean, edge has to be their next focus, along with another inside linebacker. Yeah. It was a great start with Alex Anzalone, but, I mean, they're not even close to finished with what they need to do defensively, so they definitely need a new piece at edge and should probably draft both positions as well. Mm-hmm. Ethan Winship, thank you for the $4.99 super chat, says, does this make Bowles the number 1 coach on the hot seat? Fans are pissed. We have to deal with Bowles coming back. Now Mike's gone. Can't get much worse. Is he the top coach on the hot seat? He's got to be pretty close, because there were so many coaching changes this year that not a lot of coaches would be, on the hot seat after just one season. Yeah. I actually think Aaron Glenn might be the number 1 guy on the hot seat as well for different reasons. But Bowles, without question, at worst is top 3, but immediately comes to mind probably at least 2. So
I mean, again, if he can't win, if he can't get back to double-digit wins, I mean, you're settling for mediocrity, because then you'd have 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins, 8 wins, 9 wins again. And I'm just saying, like, if he doesn't win more than 9 games, he's going to be fired, right? At 9, you have to sit there and say, okay, how far did you go in the playoffs, right? What was the injury situation like? How did the defense improve throughout the year? Did those wins come at the beginning of the year or the end of the year? Did they collapse or did they get better at the end of the year? Then you're kind of talking about, Bowles, if you're the Blazers, maybe seeing the next season if he goes deep in the playoffs. But he's got to win a lot to stay, in my opinion.
I'll be honest with you. Now I'm kind of looking at it the other way of like, what if Bowles does such a bad job? You're just like, screw it, let's tank. Because remember, you're not going to have Mike. What does this mean for Baker Mayfield as well? Yeah. Does Baker want to sign a contract extension? Yes, there is the appeal of Ibuka and Jalen McMillan and Tez Johnson.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a pretty good quarterback class this year, right? What if you keep Bowles, you tank as much, then Godwin's off the books. You got this young core wide receiver that you're not paying just yet. young core and a new inside linebacker that's likely going to get drafted and a new edge rusher. You try building that way with the new coach. I'm just saying. Throwing it out there. Marcos, thank you for the $4.99. Says, end of an era, but the smartest and most logical decision for both sides. No excuse to not sign an impact rusher now.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can get the price tag to come down on Trey Hendrickson. I know that it's pretty lofty. I've heard Hendrickson started off, $35 million. I don't know if he's going to get that per se, but when you look at Jalen Phillips and what he got in Carolina, he got 30. Granted, he's younger, right? But you look at the body of work and the potential there. If I'm Trey Hendrickson, I'm feeling pretty good about holding firm to that or pretty close to it, right? Just because of what Jalen Phillips, has been able to do in his NFL career. I mean, Jalen Phillips doesn't even have 10 sacks in a season. Okay. The most sacks he ever had was 8.5 sacks as a rookie. Then he had 7 the next year. Then he had 6.5 in 2023. Then he had 1, and he was injured a lot in 23 and 24. He had 1 sack. Then he comes back, plays 17 games, and he had 5 sacks. And then that was split in between 2 teams. The Dolphins, where he had 3, and the Eagles, where he had 2. So I'm just saying, I know a lot of people were like, trade for Jalen Phillips. What are we doing? He had 5 sacks. I mean, good Lord, he got paid. I know a lot of bad deals that have been out there, a lot of bad quarterbacks that have gotten paid too. Look at Tua. I mean, just saying, I didn't see the appeal. Didn't see it then. Don't see it now. Good luck, Carolina. But I think it's a bad signing by Carolina.
Yeah, to be honest, when the Bucs keep trotting out Tristan Wirfs and Luke Gedeke, there's not really any signing of an edge rusher for any NFC South team that really worries me because the Bucs have Tristan Wirfs and Luke Gedeke. Yeah. So, that's the peace of mind that they can have.
Yep.
Michael Larry, thank you for the $4.99. Says, Mike going to the toughest division in football as opposed to re-signing with us is very telling. Mm-hmm. Light might immediately be on the hot seat now.
I mean, I don't think he didn't. It really isn't about. This really isn't about Jason Light. I don't think that's not where Mike's. I don't say angry because I don't want to speak for Mike, but I don't say that's where Mike's dissatisfaction is. The only evidence I have is just him being vehemently pissed off and disgusted by the 3rd and 28 in the Falcons game. And he wasn't saying
that's not on Jason.
yeah, exactly. He wasn't saying, bad call, Josh Grizzard, bad call, bad throw, Baker. He wasn't saying that. He was talking about what was happening to Todd Bowles' defense. They had a 14-point lead with 10 minutes left in the game. So I don't think this is nearly as much on Jason Light as it is Todd Bowles. And I'm not Mike. I don't want to speak for him, but I'm paid to make informed opinions and educated guesses, and that's how I'm reading the tea leaves here.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Kyle Miller, thank you for the $4.99, says, I'm convinced the Falcons transferred the 28-3 curse onto us on that Thursday night football game and cost us Mike. That crash out he had to be the final straw.
I love you fans. You're so damn creative. Yeah. I love you guys. Oh my God. Yeah, I
think it was missing the postseason that ultimately was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because, every player talks about 24-hour rule, whether you win or lose. Don't get it too high, too low. You got to focus on the next week. But it was the constant losing and the fact that choking away that game ended up being the reason why you missed the postseason because he only won one more game after that. I think the fact that they won their season finale, but then didn't get in because the Saints couldn't win. I think that ultimately not reaching the postseason. I think Mike's going, well, what am I still here for?
Right.
If I'm not getting the targets and we're not winning, then let me pursue other options.
Totally agree.
That's what it came down to. Geist85, thanks for the $2 super chat, says change of coach, maybe. I mean, I don't know how else the Glazers justify holding on to Todd Bowles if they don't find
He's got to
success
win a bunch this year.
Yes, and consistently win.
Yes.
Not a hot start, and then you lose 4 in a row. Because we've seen that story every year.
Every year.
They're going to start out 2-0. We don't know. We know who they're
That's
playing.
right.
We don't know the nature of the schedule just yet. They're going to start out 2-0. I don't care who they're playing.
That's exactly right, man.
But how do they build after that? The Delaney, thanks for the $4.99, says the Bucs will need to provide Todd Bowles with a lot of security at games because of the Evans situation. I mean, listen, if fans want to boo, that's fine. But let's not go over the top.
I agree.
Don't throw stuff or whatever. You can boo. Fans have every right to boo, even at home.
Yeah.
But I don't. He doesn't need to go much further than that, or any further, really. Joel Elrican has now been a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for 19 months. Thank you so much for your support. Says the end of an era. Retire 13. No one else could ever live up to that number in red and pewter. Go Bucs. I mean, it's a guarantee that number is going to get retired. They're not going to give that out this year.
Yeah. So. Agreed.
T Level, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says nice hit on Anzalone for the battle plan, Matt. Thank you. Yep. Also loved R. Mason Thomas and Minshew. Sly was a little conservative, and Bailey was a bit naive.
Yeah. I think we all had Mike Evans leaving, though, right? Except for Bailey.
I kept Mike.
Oh, you kept Mike. Okay. Right.
Yeah. But I traded Chris Godwin Jr. with the understanding that that's probably unlikely.
Sense. Yeah.
But, that was my justification for it.
Yep.
I honestly, I hope the part of my battle plan that does come true is acquiring Kayvon Thibodeau from the Giants, or Kayvon Thibodeau, because
I would
just cost him a fourth rounder. I think it's a good trade off for the Bucs. Worked last time they traded for a Giants edge rusher, so
it worked out. Yeah. Well said, man.
Eric Cullison, thank you for the $4.99. Says, how do the Glazers not feel embarrassed by this? They choose Bowles, and your best weapon ever said he wasn't good enough by leaving.
Well, it'd be interesting because when Joel speaks to the media at the NFL annual meeting, my guess is he's going to completely deflect that and say, Mike had nothing but nice things to say about Todd Bowles. I mean, I'm just telling you,
he's going to say, he's going to answer the question by just being like, we love Mike. We appreciate all he's done.
Yeah.
He'll always be a legend. And he'll answer it without answering.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's true. Steven Zool, thank you for the $1.99. Retire 13. They absolutely will. They just can't right now. He's still in the league. I don't think they've ever retired. I don't think any team has ever retired a number of a player while they're currently on another team in the league. But as soon as he retires, just do it right away.
Hold on. I just threw up on my mouth.
Oh, geez.
Sorry about that. I hate to do that during a live podcast, but Kate Otton's getting $10 million a year.
Ooh.
3 years, $30 million, $20 million guaranteed. What are we doing?
I mean, credit to Josh Capo. He was right on the numbers with that one. But I don't know. Especially because there was other tight ends out there, like Isaiah Likely. I know he ended up signing, I think, with the Giants, but he was out there.
Yeah.
Falcons re-signed Hooper.
Like, Cade is decent, but I didn't mind Cade at all on his rookie deal.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm okay with that, but $10 million a year. If I'm Mike Greenberg, I'm putting a stipulation in his contract that he has to wear gloves. He didn't have gloves on over the last couple of years. He did when Tom Brady told him to put them on, and he had a pretty good rookie season, right?
That he did.
I don't know.
$10 million a year after a 1 touchdown season.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
But Steven Zoll, they will retire 13. No worries there. Geist8569, thanks for the $2 super chat, says, I guess Algier didn't want to come. Kenneth Gainwell is small. I like Gainwell, but they signed him, what was it? 2 years, $14 million, so $7 million. Damn. It seems like a lot for kind of a backup running back. When
it's going to be interesting to see what Rashad White gets, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just curious. Like, did Rashad like overestimate his own market here a little bit? I mean, there's been some running backs that have been signed. Etienne's been signed, Gainwell's been signed, Algier signed, but that's kind of interesting that we haven't seen Rashad White signing yet, and I know he wants to play with Jaden Daniels in Washington. We'll see what happens and how much he gets, but.
Yeah. Oh man, Gardner Minshew went to the Cardinals, so my dream of Minshew and Mayfield on the same team will not come true this season.
The only Gus Swayze in Tampa is Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. But yeah, that's true. Like, and Kansas City, they got Kenneth Walker, so
yeah, that's right.
Rashad's obviously passionate about Kansas City with him being from there. But yeah, it does kind of seem like it's either Washington or bust right now. Wouldn't that be ironic if like the Bucs don't re-sign Sean Tucker, but Rashad White comes back for pennies on the dollar because his market just turns bottom up? That would be something.
It'd be a bitter pill to swallow with all of the goodbyes and the I'm out and the airplane emojis and stuff that he had towards the end of the year. It'd be hard to walk that back.
Yeah, it would. Sam Fisher, thank you for this $20 super chat. We got a couple $20 super chats, so
yeah.
Appreciate you starting that off. Very passionately in all caps for those listening to the audio version of this. F. Bowles, the Glazers chose a losing coach over Cohen, then again over Evans, the greatest player in franchise history. He looked and recognized how shit of a coach he is. F you, Bowles. Next season is all about getting you out. A passionate comment from Sam Fisher.
Yeah.
I get it. I get the frustration. A series of bad decisions by the Glazers. And I mean, this feels kind of, again, like it's not surprising that Mike left based on all the intel that was gathered, but this feels lower than like missing the playoffs because you lost so many games in a row.
Yeah.
I know you won at the end, but I don't know. This seems even worse for some reason.
I agree.
Seth G, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, I want to be excited for these free agent signings today because they are good, but I can't help but feel sick because of Mike. My childhood is gone.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean, he's been here 12 years. That's a long time, man. And I remember what it was like. For me, I was a Redskins fan growing up. I mean, I wore John Riggins jersey to school every day in Virginia during second grade before I moved to Kansas. And, it sucks when your legends leave or even retire. But I mean, it just stinks when they go to play for another team, It sucks. I remember covering this team when the Bucs didn't re-sign Warren Sapp. They chose Booger McFarland over Warren Sapp, and that stung, but it's happened before. It'll happen again. It's just life in the NFL. Like it just same thing. 49ers moved on from Joe Montana. They cut Ronnie Lott.
That's true. Ronnie Lott.
Ronnie Lott. Yeah. That it happens even to legends.
The Hypest Beast, thank you for this $4.99 super chat, says, if Mike doesn't believe in Baker and Todd, why should the fans? Obviously, whatever the plan for this offseason is, it isn't good enough. Trash heap moves.
I don't think I would throw Baker in there. I don't think there's ever any distrust or like bad blood or anything between Mike and Baker. It's the offensive coordinator, right, that kind of dictates what plays are called for what, who's every play has a primary receiver, right, on it. And I know Baker sometimes does the check down or he'll throw to the open guy, and Mike's not always open every play. Like I get that, but I don't know if I'd put Baker Mayfield in there with Todd.
Right, especially because he's going to Brock Purdy. And I feel like there's very differences of opinion about Brock Purdy. Some say he's just a system quarterback because of Shanahan. Others think he's like truly great. But it's not like he teamed up to play with Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson and stuff like that.
That's true.
So, I think that's fair. At the same time, I think Baker's play, granted there was some injuries involved, Baker's play should have definitely been better last year. And I think maybe we were watching with the beer goggles of like what he did in the 2024 season, but he is going to have Zach Robinson this year. And I think that's important to specify as well. Mopar Buck, thank you for this 1999 super chat. We appreciate it. It says, please stop saying it's not about the money. Regarding the Bucs, it would hurt the Bucs re-signing Evans, a 30-year-old receivers accounting for $50 million is crazy. When you drafted a wide receiver in the first round, we have too many holes.
Yeah, but I mean, they paid Mike $20 million last year, and Chris is on the books for 22. Like, if it was not about the money last year, how could it be about the money this year? If it was $27 million or something, or if the Buccaneers, were willing to go like that high, and they just got outbid. I mean, that's a different story. But he chose the 49ers for $20 million. And I think the Buccaneers were prepared to pay that. So it wasn't about the money. Because if everything's
how do you say it's not?
Right. Yeah.
If you want to say maybe the Bucs should allocate their money in a different way, that's fine. But you can't say it's not about the money.
Yeah.
CJ07, thank you for the $4.99, says, guys think Todd is too arrogant to think he's a reason Mike left. Also, think Jason is thinking this why I wanted to fire Todd Bowles, but read the room.
I'm not going to touch that one. I'm not going to. I mean, you might be onto something there, but
we'll just kind of leave it at that. Kings are awful. Thanks for the $2 super chat. I will throw a block party the day Bowles is fired. All right. We'll expect our invitations in the mail. Not that we're rooting for Todd to get fired, but you definitely been on this platform promoting it.
Yep.
Cryptics Ninja 2909. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Says our wide receivers better step up, and we better get a legit pass rusher. If not, start completely over, starting with Bowles and Light. I hear that. I mean, we liked the step that Ibuka took as a rookie. We liked how Jalen McMillan looked at the end of his rookie year and when he came back after the neck injury. But what if Emeka Ibuka slows down the way he did the second half of his rookie year? I think that's a reality that I don't want to see, but I think it's a reality that it could happen. I'm not saying I wouldn't bet on it, but it could happen for sure.
Yeah, I also think too, Emeka Ibuka, and you got to think about this. I mean, he played into the national championship game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what did he play? He played in the Big Ten championship game, right? Ohio State won that. And then they had 3 playoff games, including the national championship, right?
They actually didn't play in the Big Ten because they lost to Michigan.
Oh, that's right.
It was Penn State, Oregon in the Big Ten. But anyway, they still had to play an extra playoff game because of it, oddly enough. But regardless, he did play a lot of games.
He played 3 more games than the typical, or I should say 2 more games, you can factor in a bowl game, than a typical NFL player or a college player coming into the NFL would. But then also too, when you're playing in the last football game, then it's like a month later you're at the combine, Then you have your pro day. There's no rest for.
Don't have a second to slow down. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I mean, the stock is high on Emeka Ibuka overall.
I agree. Yeah.
Buck for Life, who has an Emeka Ibuka picture. Thanks for the $4.99. Says, I will say this now for everyone. 2027 round 1 pick is a big X wide receiver. Depends on how shit we are. Jeremiah Smith, C. Coleman, Nick Marsh. Thoughts on Jordan Tyson now?
I don't think they're going to go wide receiver in the first round. This is going to be the draft of defense, and they might draft the wide receiver, but they have already spent a 3rd round pick on Jalen, a 1st round pick on Emeka, a 7th round pick on Tez Johnson. You still have Chris Godwin. That's a lot of wide receiver, capability there. And not just that, then you also have got Sterling Shepard, who would factor into the mix as well. I could see Sterling Shepard coming back in this situation to give the Buccaneers another veteran wide receiver, somebody Baker Mayfield knows. I know that's not going to excite any Buccaneer fan. Probably would piss them off. Oh, great, we're settling for Sterling Shepard. Not we lose that on Mike. Like, I get that. I try to deal in reality, as bad as it is sometimes. That's why nobody likes my Bucs battle plans, because they're too realistic. I just know this team too much and all that. But there we are.
Henry Gigante, thanks for the $4.99.
Your Bucs battle plan was actually my favorite, Matt. I'll say that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I loved it. I loved your battle plan.
Thank you.
Another draft pick here or there, but I mean, overall, I thought you did the best of anybody.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try to blend like reality with fantasy as well. We're like trading Godwin, more of a fantasy, but reality of like trying to get Thibodeau. Yeah, I think I agree. That could be legit. But anyway, thank you. Henry Gigante, thanks for the $4.99 super chat. Says the Glazers have to start looking at Bowles as a liability. Jason Light and company offered Evans more, and he still left. This has to strike some kind of nerve. Yeah, I do wonder, like, what are the Glazers? What were they thinking up until this free agency of just like, oh, we're going to re-sign Mike because Mike always comes back? Like, was that their thought? Like, are they legit flummoxed that Mike Evans did not come back? That to me is very curious. Like, what were their expectations going into this free agency?
Yeah. I don't think maybe they didn't think they were going to lose Mike because of Todd Bowles. And again, I don't want to speak for Mike Evans. I'm just trying to make some assumptions as to why he would pick Kyle Shanahan over Todd Bowles. Maybe it's the fact that Todd Bowles has won 10 games in Tampa and Kyle Shanahan's been to the Super Bowl twice. Just a better coach. It's that simple.
Yeah. Maybe Mike wants to travel the world this year because I think the 49ers play in like Mexico City and they play in Australia as well or something.
Melbourne,
So maybe he just wanted to see the world a little more.
Yeah.
Delgado, next to the $1.99, says, in what world do the Bucs keep Todd but not Mike?
This world.
The Glazer world. Yeah.
Welcome to the Upside Down. Stranger Things continues here in Tampa.
Yeah. Glazers catching some Tampa strays in this episode today. Rhino from Wyo, thanks for the $1.99. Do you think the Glazers now regret keeping Todd Bowles?
I don't know. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. I would love to know.
Especially since it's like a conglomerate of the family. Like how many were pro Bowles? How many were anti-Bowles? Dinner at the next family get-together has got to be a little difficult. Being like, see, I told you this is going to happen.
And
someone else going to be like, let it play out.
Yeah. I would love to see Trent Cooper come back and do another installment of Raise the Flag.
Yes.
The off-season version of 2026 and see what Todd Bowles and Jason Light and the Glazers have to say about what's transpired today. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Geist8569, thanks for the $2 super chat, says, just lost Adafe. Of course, Light got his picks. Talking about OA, I believe.
Yeah.
Steven Zool, thanks for the $1.99, says, this reminds me of Seth Rollins' Burn It Down song. So, yeah, you definitely want to rebuild. Maybe you see the vision for the Bucs down the road.
Yep.
Mopar Buck, thank you for this $19.99 super chat.
Mopar. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Says the bad Chris Godwin contract is exactly why you can't afford Evans. 300 yards for that contract is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't get re-injured, you drafted a Mecca, so there was no reason to re-sign Godwin to that type of deal.
Well, remember, they signed Godwin first in free agency.
Yes,
then they drafted a Mecca. So we have to kind of get the timeline right. But Mopar, I would say this. If Chris Godwin wasn't here, would that maybe influence Mike to come back where it's like Mike's like, I'm only competing with J-Mac and Mech to really get catches. And maybe I can live at that, and Chris being another $22 million mouth to feed. Is there something to that? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not Mike Evans, but I mean, you may be onto something there. But I like to look at the standalone here from this because you bring up a really good point. I mean, we're going to, be fair here. And the Chris Godwin deal, in hindsight, looks awful unless Godwin does what Jason Light hopes he will do, which is really return to form this year and really get back to being a guy that is going to get you around 1,000 yards. And if Chris ends up with 850 and 5 touchdowns this year, I'm not going to complain about that, Matt, right? Because I think that's it was a pretty good season, right? But and the Bucs win, of course. But the thing is that's what Jason said. This contract with Chris Godwin's not about 2025. It's about 2026. Okay, we're in 2026 now. So I appreciate your comment, Mopar. And I think we have to look at this. As of right now, that was a bad move by Jason Licht to re-sign him. It just was, right? Because the production of $22 million for less than 40 catches, less than 400 yards, and two touchdowns does not justify it whatsoever. And I think for him to be justified in doing that, Chris has really got to perform. And if he doesn't, he's going to be gone, because you can't afford to pay $20 million for a guy that at age, he'll be 31 next year, is, if he's an average receiver, you got to move on.
Yeah, and a lot of the reflection of those stats are that he just missed a lot of time. It wasn't like he played a 17-game season and just didn't have the numbers.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, if he's not able to stay on the field either, you're not going to pay him for that anyway.
Yeah.
Now, if he does return to the Chris Godwin Jr. that he has been before, that changes a lot for this team and for this offense specifically. And I think it can still be a high functioning offense if he can do so. But, that's kind of one of those wait and see type of things. SRQ Salt, thank you for the $9.99, says, if the reported contract numbers are correct, this had nothing to do about money. The 3rd and 28 rant was real. Mike knows what we all know. Todd Bowles is a lower tier head coach and will never, that was in all caps, lead this team to a Super Bowl.
It's hard to argue that point.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the general consensus. We will put with the caveat of we are not speaking for Mike Evans.
Right.
But when you see the team that he went to, the money that he got, where their standing is right now, and where the Bucs standing is, you can connect the dots that way. PC Snowflake, thanks for the $5 super chat. Bowles has ruined the culture and team that BA built. Mike left because he don't believe in Todd. Him saying 3rd and 28 keeps replaying in my head. Yeah, it is. 3rd and 28 has become, people always bring up 28-3 with the Falcons, as they should, because that's they're rivals, and that's what you do. You clown on your rivals. 3rd and 28 is not going to be a number that Bucs fans are going to want to hear. But unfortunately, it may have led to Mike Evans leaving.
Oh, and actually, if you want to send a message to the Blazers or Todd or Jason, whoever, we actually have a post on our X account where I just put a picture of Mike from that game. Actually, it's this picture right here. And it says 3rd and 28. That's all it says. That's the caption. So maybe like it, share it, retweet it, comment on it, and maybe help it go viral and see what happens.
Buck for Life, thanks for the $1.99. Says, Scott, just to let you know, Howie has 4 comps picks, rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6. Us, 0.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
And they won't get one for Jamel Dean because they reduced his salary, right? And they cut off a void year. So they'll get a compensatory pick for Mike, depending on how much they sign and then how much they lose. But again, you look at the free agents for the Buccaneers. I mean, it's really Mike and maybe Rashad getting some play. And then Logan Hall, I've heard that there's a market out there, $8 to $10 million a year for him. Maybe that helps out. If it's like $5 million for Logan Hall, he might be back on a 1-year deal if the bottom kind of falls out of his market. But we'll see.
Cali Bucks, thanks for the $4.99. Says, these people acting like they hate Evans now. Boo you! Evans stuck it out long enough. The ring happened. Get over it. He doesn't see a winner here. Yeah, I mean, fans are entitled to feel how they want to feel, but I have a hard time thinking that you should be mad at Mike Evans, of all people, in this situation. Mason DeBoard, thank you for this $10 super chat. I have not read this one yet. Says, had a dream that Sonny Styles fell to 15. Then they traded back up for a sliding Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah.
Woke up devastated. It was just a
Yeah.
dream. Now we lose Mike.
Yeah.
Guy can only take so much.
Yeah, I know. I'd rather have Kenyon Sadiq rather than Kate Otten, but here we are. So, yeah.
Yeah. Damn, yeah. That dream turned into a nightmare. Real quick.
Yeah, I did.
Richie P, thanks for the $5 super chat. Says, does this mean Denzel Boston is an option for us in the first round? Big target.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I gotta do some more work on Denzel Boston. I know he's considered to be a first rounder. He was a big receiver, but I got to really dive into the tape. I would be shocked. They got one inside linebacker. They need like two more.
Yeah.
They need an edge rusher. They don't have one yet. Opposite Yaya Diaby. They need another defensive tackle. You can't go into the season without addressing defensive tackle. It's the sneaky need this team has. Because you've got Vita Vea, who's 31, going into a contract year. You've got Elijah Cansey, who missed more time last year than he did the first two seasons. You got to protect yourself, because without Elijah, it'll just fall apart up front for the Buccaneers with their pass rush. I mean, he was their best pass rusher up front. Without him, they just didn't get any sacks, hardly. But I do know one thing. If it starts to fall apart for you financially, and you're wondering how much retirement money you're going to have when you do decide to retire, well, the folks over at Amuni Financial can help.
Will your savings last through retirement? Most people plan for 10 years, but retirement can last 30. Healthcare, taxes, market swings, it all adds up. Take our quiz. Check your retirement readiness today. Amuni Financial.
That's right. The folks over at Amuni Financial, which sponsors our Bucs mailbag column, which comes out every Monday. Make sure you check that out. Still some good stuff in there, even though Mike Evans has moved on today. But financial help from Amuni, well, that's what they do. They want to make sure that you have enough savings to last through your retirement. And do you know if you do or not? We'll take this 2-minute quiz and find out. Scan the QR code or visit them on the web at amuni.com/retire. And it's free. You don't have to become an Amuni Financial customer to take part in that quiz, although they would love your business. And I highly recommend it. I've got a lot of my financial investments with Amuni, have been for years that way. The folks over there, Mark, David, everybody at Amuni does a fantastic job, not just in the Tampa Bay area, although their offices are located in St. Petersburg. They can help you across the entire country, not just the state of Florida. So if you're looking for college savings accounts for the kids, brokerage and advisory services, retirement planning, 401k, all of that stuff, Amuni Financial, the place to go. Visit them on the web at amuni.com.
Next super chat comes from Wellesley Jr. Thanks for the $4.99. Says, Glazers made a personal decision over a business decision. I knew 13 was gone when they announced Bowles being back. Boycotting till the Glazers sell. It's going to be very difficult to sell an NFL team because of the amount of money you freaking make from it. Right. But, I mean, if you want to show the Glazers that they made some huge mistakes, I guess boycotting is the way to go.
Yeah.
Kyle Driver, thanks for the $2 super chat, says, going to be hard to muster up excitement for this year. Yeah, that's the other thing, too. It's like there's not going to be a shiny object of a free agent signing. I guess Alex Anzalone could be that, or Kenneth Gainwell. But, the big thing was always going to be, if you could get Mike Evans back. Even Levante David at this point is just kind of like, all right, I guess he's in the mix. Maybe some draft picks can spark some excitement. But, yeah, definitely the tune this year is way different than what it was a season ago. There's no doubt about that.
Yep, for sure.
Uncle Jay, thank you for the $4.99 super chat, says Jason Light needs to make up for this by going after Sonny Styles. I don't like the Kate Otten signing. We should have gotten Isaiah Likely. I do like Isaiah Likely. I
do too. He's more of a receiver than a blocker. And I think the one thing you can say about Otten, he does both. Maybe not terribly well. Sorry, Josh Capo, but I'm probably going to get a mean text from Josh now in the group chat. But I don't know. Josh is pretty happy today. He got his guy back, Kate Otten. So there you go.
Yeah, good day for Josh. Yep. Never had a chance. Thanks for the $1.99 super
Yeah.
chat. Says, what makes anyone think Todd can fix the defense in year 8? When he's had pass rushers, he's been able to do so.
Yeah.
So
He and Jason Light, they got to find the right edge rusher. They got to find the right defensive tackle. They got to add the right linebacker. They're not done, and they need to do both in free agency and in the draft. Mike, Matt, I like your take, which is double up, right? Double up. Get a free agency linebacker. Get a draft linebacker. Get a pass rusher in free agency. Get one in the draft. Yeah, you got to throw the kitchen sink at the defense this year, and anticipate that you're not going to hit on one of those guys and have the other one be that safety net for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't just have one answer. Have a couple of answers or, different obstacles that they can go with.
Yeah.
Stitch Happens Cat, thank you for the $9.99. Says, been preparing for this moment since all the chatter started. I had a gut feeling about the Niners. It hurts. That's right. Yeah, I did believe you mentioned that on a recent show.
Right.
Our illustrious head coach is to blame, sadly. I foresee a ho-hum season. I think that's part of the problem with Bowles, too. It's just like, I think we said before, can we just kind of fast forward this year and get to the point where, the Bucs lose 4 in a row and they're 7-10 or 8-9 or 9-8, and feels like we're at that again.
Yep.
Ben Harvey, thanks for the $5 super chat, says, management needs to wake up. What does this say to the rest of the league that a franchise icon left the team? Bleeding won't stop here. Baker next.
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, if this team doesn't win this year, Baker will be a free agent. I mean, they could franchise him, but I mean, like I've said for the past month or so now, I have no idea what's going to happen this year. 7-10, 10-7, more wins than I have no idea, but it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting, not like thrilling, like, ooh, I can't wait to see this team demolish this team and get on the road to the playoffs. Exciting from a pure mystery standpoint. I love a good mystery. I'm completely baffled and befuddled of what's going to happen this year.
Yeah, it could make for some different storylines than what we're used to.
Yeah.
Michael Larry, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Says, if we were going to give Mike more than $20 million per year, then we should be able to get Hendrickson or an impact free agent with that, right?
I hope so. I just think it's going to cost more for Trey Hendrickson than $20 million.
Yeah, that's the problem there. It's not just a flat 20. It's probably even more. But they do have that money now since it didn't go to Mike. So might as well use it for a better way to help the team. I know that it's much better than Mike Evans, but, got to build it the right way. John Corndog, thank you for the $5 super chat, says, love Evans, but if you were forced to lay $50 million on his durability next year, would you take 10 or less games or 13 or more games realistically?
I mean, I would say if I had to bet money that Mike might miss 4 games this year, just kind of based on average of the last 2 seasons, it kind of feels about right, I guess.
Yeah, it's the hamstring issue.
Yeah,
I know the collarbone, that's more of like a freak type of accident, but
and then as you said, Matt,
always ramped up
with that electrical,
with the power
out there. Man. Yeah, man, who knows?
No joke.
Yeah.
Mike Fitzgibbons, thanks for the $4.99, says, too much money in draft capital on a line that can't protect Baker. Not enough attention on defensive end, outside linebacker. Is Jason Light on the hot seat?
Well, I mean, okay. Yeah, they have too much money and draft capital on the offensive line, but their high-priced free agent guard and their second-round pick, the other guard, they were out for a lot of the season this year. I mean, that I think if the Bucs offensive line is healthy, it's probably one of the best in the NFL. When you look at it, this has not been for a lack of effort. You can see right here, and this does not include signing Hassan Reddick for $14 million. This is just the draft. We say the front 6 because they're typically in a 4-man rush with 2 linebackers, right? So I know it's a 3-4, but they play more nickel than they do with base defense. So the front 6. Vita Vea is clearly the best pick here. That was back in 2018. Devin White was good enough for the Bucs to win a Super Bowl. Then his big head got in the way, and now he's out the door. Nelson, that's good value, 4th round pick. He's been around since 2019. Ideally, you want him as outside linebacker 4 or 5 on the depth chart, though. JTS was a big whiff. Logan Hall has definitely underwhelmed, was not worth the 33rd overall pick. Elijah Cansey, really good when healthy, but that's been about half of his career hurt. Yaya, for a 3rd round pick, has been the best one in terms of edge rushers.
Yeah.
Braswell's been a bust. Walker, we have no idea, right? He hasn't played it down, even in shoulder pads in training camp. Didn't even make it to shoulder pads. So hasn't been for what the effort has been there. The attention has been there. It's just been misses big time. And they need some hits.
Lots of question marks on even like David Walker. That's a huge question mark going into this year. Geist 8569, thanks for the $2 super chat, says, so Bucs will get a 5th round comp to pick? Question mark.
They might. It just depends on the offset, right? Because you have to sign X amount of players for X amount of money. Yeah. And Mike's big contract will get you a pretty good comp pick, but then the more free agents you add, the lower that comp pick goes.
Digital Derek 187, thanks for the $5 super chat, says, stop the blame game. This is reality in the NFL, people. Mike is aging. We drafted his successor, and he watched Ibuka ball from the sidelines. The end.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think so, though, because the Bucs gave a significant offer to Mike.
Yeah. Right.
I don't think it's just Mike thinking, I can't get target. It's more than just the money type of thing.
Correct. It's the money, the targets, the head coach, the offensive system, all that stuff. The championship potential. Right.
Realtor David Zussman, thank you for this 1999 super chat. It says, if losing Mike Evans would make Jason Light trade for an elite edge rusher, and signing Lloyd, then at least that would be something positive. Mike Evans' departure is a statement on Jason Light's incompetence and inability to build a defensive roster in 5 years.
You're not wrong in terms of that. And we just showed the graphic. I'm not going to waste any more showtime on it. But, I mean, there's been swings and misses. I mean, it's been an F on that side of the ball in the trenches. The only thing that gives me hope is that Jason Light has done it before. He knows what it's supposed to look like.
Correct.
Trading for Jason Pierre-Paul, signing Ndamukong Suh, signing Shaq Barrett, and then drafting Vita Vea, right? The only one of those 4 that were chasing around Patrick Mahomes that was a draft pick was Vita. And I think he's leaned too much into the draft and has not done anything else outside of that. And, he's not drafted an edge rusher better than Yaya Diaby, who's a 3rd round pick in 2023 and has been good. He's been a solid number outside linebacker 2, but he has not found an alpha. He hasn't found anybody of the stature of Shaq or JPP in terms of production yet.
Yeah, he's going to have to change his stance a little bit this offseason. And I think that's why it's important to see, like, there's been some moves already, but it's important to see what else moves come about with it. Because that's one of my big takeaways is, they lost Mike. What do they do to fill the void of this team without Mike? Obviously not just the offensive side. Big Joker, thanks for the $1.99, says, Mike gone. This is what hell feels like, peeps.
I feel you.
Yeah, does not feel good, Bucs fans. A lot of unhappy people today, understandably so. Ice 8569, thanks for the $2 super chat, says, unfortunately, Godwin is injury prone. Yeah, it's not a guarantee that he can stay healthy for a long period of time this season. SRQ Salt, thanks for the $4.99. $13 million dead cap, but no new money for Evans. What do the Bucs do with that $18 to $20 million? How much did Otten eat into that? Where would the money be spent?
Well, Otten took 10 out of the 20 they were maybe prepared to spend for Mike. So there's 10 of it right there. And we kind of forecasted that on previous shows. I tweeted that out this morning. They were not expected to re-sign Cade Otton unless they didn't get Mike Evans back. And that's why we did the show that we did earlier about the Bucs re-signing Cade Otton, because we wanted to convey to fans, this isn't just about Cade Otton. And if you go back and watch that earlier Pewter Report podcast, Matt and I were pretty much saying, yikes, this is not a good sign for Mike Evans. Probably not coming back to the Buccaneers. And it played out that way. I think we were off the air for 30 minutes and then the news broke. So it's something we forecasted, unfortunately, and it came to fruition.
Jeremiah Copeland, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Says Evans saw that Light's free agent battle plan was Gainwell, Anzalone, and Otten, and left his way to San Francisco. We'll miss him.
Yeah, maybe.
Realtor David Zussman, thanks for the $19.99. Says if Jason Light was a good general manager and asset manager, he would trade Baker Mayfield right now to a QB needy team and tank so we can rebuild and pick a top quarterback next year. Vikings or Jets would likely give us good draft capital for Baker.
You know, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I wasn't gonna write this because this is just like this is strictly a fantasy football thing, right? This is like me playing Madden or something. Imagine trading Baker Mayfield before having to invest $50 million or more into Baker. And I'm not suggesting this should or could or would happen. This is just like a scenario, like a doomsday scenario, whatever. What if you traded Baker Mayfield and, call it the 15th overall pick to the Raiders for the first round pick? And then maybe I don't know what the math would be, third or fourth round pick or something that the Raiders get. And then you're sitting at number 1 and you draft Fernando Mendoza.
Yes.
Right. And you have him on a rookie deal for 5 years because you have to fit
with Chandler Whitmer.
With Chandler Whitmer. I was going to say, Matt, you're reading my mind here. With Chandler Whitmer and Zach Robinson. And you've got the best offensive line in football. You got Bucky. You have now Kenneth Gainwell. And you got all those wide receivers for him to throw to. Right. I'm just saying it's like kind of a crazy thought, but you're getting a remarkably younger quarterback. Granted, he hasn't proven a lick in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's not even in the NFL, right? Baker's already kind of been there, done that, and proven that. I'm just saying, like, in an alternate universe, it would be interesting to see how that would play out for the Buccaneers in the short term and the long term too. But I mean, that's kind of along the lines of the thinking that you had here, David.
If I'm the Bucs, I would make that trade. But if I'm the Raiders, I don't think I would do it for just the 15th overall pick. I would need a lot more draft capital there. But
all right, so hold on. So you're saying Baker Mayfield, a proven quarterback, right? And the 15th overall pick, and then another pick for the number 1 overall?
Yeah. I mean, look what did the Panthers give up to get Bryce Young?
Yeah.
Like, that was a lot, you know? And I think, did that not include DJ Moore as well?
It did. Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So, like,
okay. Yeah, because that was multiple number 1s and DJ Moore, right?
Yeah. The teams get so desperate. Like, the Jets just got 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner.
Right.
So, because then you think with the Raiders, like, okay, what type of season well, I guess you're talking about the season Baker just had. Yeah. And he's getting older, and you're going to have to pay him a lot of money right away.
That's what I'm saying.
It's all hypothetical. But, like, if I'm the Bucs, I make that trade. But,
yeah. The Glazers, I mean, you're staring down paying $50 million for a 31-year-old quarterback. It's something to think about. I'm not endorsing it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's ever been discussed by anybody at One Buccaneer Place. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like, when you go to war, it's like everything's on the table. Like, we have to come up with every possible scenario, and like that's a scenario right there.
No doubt about it. By the way, it's about time we give a shout out to our Pewter Platinum members. Thank you so much for your support of Pewter Report TV and pewterreport.com. We'll have a Pewter Insider this Friday at 1:30.
Hizo was a member?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out Hizo, who's been a YouTube channel member for 19 months. So, yeah, our Pewter Platinum and Premier members get the bonus show on Friday at 1:30. As Hizo813 says, Bowles couldn't take advantage of the roster in 2024. That will arguably be better than what the Bucs have upcoming in 2026. Feels like the Bucs are only prolonging the inevitable an extra year. Get ready for another disappointing season. I'm with you 100% of the way, Hizo. It's just hit that fast forward button. Bucs start out looking pretty good, then they fall apart. There's a lot more questions than answers. The defense isn't totally figured out. And it's like, hey, they should have done this 2 years ago, let alone a year ago.
The only saving grace, and I'm with you, Matt. I'm tracking with you, and this is one of those where when you're playing Madden, you like hit sim season, right? You just simulate the season, get onto the draft, and rebuilding your team. But what if the offense just takes off like it did under Liam Cohen, and Zach Robinson is the shit? What if he is the real deal at offensive coordinator, and this thing's humming even without Mike Evans? Then you got your next head coach in house, and maybe it all works out in the end. We'll see.
That's true. That is very true, because there's no way the Glazers want to get back to that Cohen situation again.
God, I hope not.
Tommy Liverone, thank you for the $4.99.
Thank you, Tommy.
Says, great show as always, Matt and Scott. Now with Mike Evans, one, do you see our offense still being able to score? And will you trade down at number 15? I definitely think they can still be able to score, because, again, healthy offensive line, healthy Bucky Irving, and more room to grow for these wide receivers. Like, I think we forget Jalen McMillan didn't come back until December.
That's right.
So you get Jalen McMillan for a whole year, a healthier Godwin who won't have to be rehabbing his surgery the year before. That needs to be factored in. So I trust this offense can get back to their scoring ways. But
I mean, this happened. This happened. We have to talk about it. There was no Mike Evans in Seattle. Chris Godwin injured his fibula and didn't finish the game. There was no Bucky Irving in Seattle. J-Mac was uninjured reserve. And yet they scored 38 points with Josh Grizzard as the offensive coordinator, with Emeka Egbuka, Kate Otten, who had a big day, Sterling Shepard, and Tez Johnson, and Sean Tucker and Rashad White at running back.
And not a lot of defensive help until the end. With the Levante play at the end.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just saying they dropped 38 on a Mike McDonald defense at Seattle against the eventual Super Bowl champion. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not one of these doom and gloomers who are like, oh, it's over. They don't have Mike Evans. They can't score points now. I think they can.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Black Gold 1999 has been a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for 5 months now. Thank you so much. Says, damn. He's really gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feels weird to say that it's real, but
I know
it is, unfortunately. SRQ Salt, thank you for the $1.99. Says Bowles could be Glazers' first in-season firing.
That would be interesting. They've never done that before. That would be interesting. We'll see. Let's hope
you may push them.
That.
Yeah. But you may push them to it, though.
Yeah.
Kings are awful. Thanks for the $1.99. Says, if Mike doesn't believe in the Bucs, why should we?
I would just say, for curiosity's sake, let's just see what happens, right? Let's just see what happens. Any given Sunday, let's just see what happens, right? I mean,
and it's got to start with the offseason. You know, it's only the first day of free agency. There will be more moves made, and then the draft. Maybe the free agent signings and the draft inspires you a little bit more.
Yep, we'll see.
The Real Maverick, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, help me, SR and Matty Diamonds. If Mike Evans doesn't believe in this team, how are we supposed to? This is one of, if not the worst days in Tampa Bay sports history.
Yep.
We will revert back to our previous response to the chat right before that. Shaggy has been a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for 19 months now.
Thank you,
wow,
Shaggy.
That's incredible. Thank you. Says, like Sapp, never thought I'd see Mike leave. Both left for the Bay Area, and both are Mount Rushmore Bucs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it'll hurt right now, but in a couple of seasons, everyone will welcome Mike back.
Yep.
What if the Bucs make the playoffs and they face the 49ers in the postseason? Wouldn't that be
boy.
It's Wes 09. Mike, what are you guys doing here? It's because it would be the Bucs winning the NFC South at like 8-9,
right?
And the 49ers probably have 12 wins, would be the first wild card team come to Tampa. Oh,
then we would see Mike Evans versus Zion McCollum, right?
Yeah, Galveston on Galveston, Monday Night Football with all the graphics and everything like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Charles Barkley would probably be at the game because he's had a lot to say about Galveston. Mostly negative, though, so maybe not. It's Wes 09. Thanks for the $4.99 super chat. Says, with Mike gone, Jason better have a special offseason from here on out, or it's going to be very hard to sell this season to the fans.
You wonder if this doesn't ramp the pressure up. And I don't think it's the case because Jason doesn't typically operate like this. But I just wonder, because this is Mike, if this just doesn't put some more pressure on him to like really make a move to get Trey Hendrickson. You know, I don't think that's the case just because he's a stick to the guns, kind of like we're going to stick to our budget and all this. And the Blazers have to factor into this too, right? Because it's like, you know, does he go there and say, hey, you know, these fans, man, they're killing you, they're killing me, they're killing this team.
All right, I can't take it.
Yeah, like do we really need to go out here and just roll the dice on Trey Hendrickson? He's 31, coming off a serious injury, you know, but boy, you know, he would be a big name player, and Lord knows if he's healthy, damn, he's going to help the Buccaneers. He's a huge upgrade if he's healthy. He's huge, right? But I just wonder, like, who would lead that conversation at this point? Would Jason go to the Blazers, or would the Blazers just kind of go there with a white flag and just saying, Jason, we got to do something. Go get Trey Hendrickson. You know, well, I only have so much money. And they're like, here, take more.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's the latter. I think if you frame it that way, it's probably, you know, more of the latter for sure.
Yeah.
The Real Maverick, thanks for the $20 super chat, says, reading what his agent said is a complete and utter indictment of direction of the franchise. I don't think firing Todd Bowles would have made a difference either. After Mike rushed to get back in that Thursday Night Football outcome, it was over then. 3rd and 28 with a frowny face.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe if they would have gotten an offensive-minded head coach or something, maybe it changes things. If Todd Monken came to Tampa, Mike's worked with him before, had put a big numbers, you know, in his offense, maybe that helps out. You know, I don't know.
SRQ Salt, thanks for the $4.99. On contract is a mid tight end. Makes today even worse. Big overpay. Wear gloves and please don't get bored. A panic signing once they knew Mike was gone.
I don't think it was a panic signing. I just think this was the Buccaneers' plan B. Plan A was Mike, re-sign him, let K-Dot walk. I'm not going to pay $30 million for a wide receiver and a tight end. Can't afford that. But when Mike left, and I tweeted this out, we talked about it yesterday, or I shouldn't say yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, it was last week. Because yesterday was Sunday. It was going to be a situation where if Mike was gone, then Kate Oden, they bring him back for Baker Mayfield and to help out. And that's one less position you have to fill in the draft, is going out and getting a starting tight end.
I was just thinking about the Jason Glazer type of thing as well. The Bucs better hope, if you want to talk about like selling seats this season, you better hope they start on the road the first 2 weeks of the season, start out 2-0, so people be like, oh, see, like they're winning, like, all right, now I'll go to the games. Because home openers do typically sell out because it's like, hey, football's back. But
right.
Yeah, you better hope for something like that.
Yeah. Noah Fant signing with the Saints, by the way, 2-year deal for the tight end.
Saw that.
Yep.
Meets McGee, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, I'm concerned about the team's morale.
These are.
I mean, this locker room's always so kumbaya.
Yeah. This team's they're paid professionals. You get paid to show up and play football, and these guys love football. And you know, what if Mike had retired? Like, you know, or you know what I'm saying? It just
like I don't think Kenneth Gainwell's like, man, it's great to be here in Tampa, but I just wish I could have played with Mike. Like, therefore, my morale is down.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, they're pros at the end of the day. They'll get over it.
Yep.
Adam Gonzalez, thanks for the $5 super chat. Says, good luck, Mike Evans. Hope you kick ass for the 49ers. Yeah, I hope he breaks every record that he wants to break and then moves into the top 5 in every category that he wants to get.
Yep.
Because I'll probably play some prop bets on Mike Evans this year.
Yep.
Guys85, thanks for the $2 super chat. Says, yeah, but Jason sucks at drafting the edge position.
So far, I mean, you can't deny that. At the same time, we said that for years about the running back position. He just whiffed on running backs left and right. Then he finally got a 3rd-round pick right with Rashad White. Then he signed Sean Tucker as an undrafted free agent. Then he got a 4th-round pick right with Bucky Irving. And all of a sudden, this team had a really good running back room. So sometimes you just got to keep swinging and eventually you get the hit. And let's hope that happens this year. And wouldn't it be something if this team did get a good edge rusher this year, Cassius Howell, Malachi Lawrence, Gabe Backus, whoever. Let's say they hit on whoever they get in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, R. Mason Thomas, whoever. Let's say they get a hit on that guy. And let's say David Walker comes back and is who this team thinks that he is. Then all of a sudden, like if your outside linebacker room is on the depth chart, 1st round pick or 2nd round pick, Yaya Diaby and David Walker, and those 3 guys can really get after the quarterback, it changes everything. Just changes everything.
Wouldn't it be ironic if they go Cassius Howell, he ends up being great, and it's like it took for one 1st-round pick from Texas A&M to leave for another Texas A&M guy to come in and dominate. But
I love that,
anyway.
Matt. I love that, Matt. That's a fantastic little analogy there.
Thank you. Retro Vega Gaming has now been a YouTube channel member for 7 months. We appreciate your support, so thank you. Says to try to bring some positivity. All right, I like this.
Yep.
Gainwell was voted Steelers MVP by his teammates last year, and Anzalone was a 5-year captain for the Lions defense.
Yeah.
They aren't the splashiest plays, but we got some leaders. I like this point. To be honest, I kind of forgot that Anzalone began his career with the Saints.
He did, yeah.
He didn't really get a lot of starting time until his last year with New Orleans, which I believe was 2021, but obviously really made a name for himself with Detroit. So he's definitely going to be a leader in that standpoint, which that void needs to be filled. I mean, forget about Mike Stanger going. If Levante is likely gone, you are going to need that leadership filled, at least at the linebacker position.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Retro Vega Gaming.
I think it's a great point, and you see the C on the chest there. It's for real.
Yep.
And he wasn't the only good player that New Orleans let go of. They actually drafted Trey Hendrickson in the 3rd round, and they let him go after a 13-sack season. To keep Marcus Davenport. How does Mickey Loomis still have a job? Seriously, like y'all want to shit on Jason, like fine, whatever. But Mickey Loomis, how does he still have a job?
Tyler Shuck, man, Shuck, yeah. Digital Derek, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, can we sign Kirk Cousins so he stops cornholing? We'll see where he ends up going this offseason.
Yep.
Well, she's gonna sign with the Panthers or something. You know, just stay in the division, haunt the Bucs.
Yeah.
SRQ Salt, thanks for the $4.99. Says first Bucs game in '76. I was 9 years old. Club seats last 15 years. Worst free agency loss in team history. Just football, but this is a very sad day for me. Emotional. I get it.
Yep.
I 100% understand. And I hate when people say, "Oh, it's just a game. It's just a game." All right. What about this garden that you're growing? It's just a garden. A tomato didn't grow. It's just a garden.
Yeah.
You can say that about literally anything. Oh, it's just a book that you're reading. So I hate that. It's just a game.
I agree.
It's more than that. Darius the Great, thank you for this $1.99 super chat. Says, relax, folks. The wide receiver room is still better than most. That I agree with. That's like the one thing I don't have an issue with is the rest of the talent in the room.
Yeah.
CJ07, thanks for the $4.99. Says, Scott, I'm going to get you to break on the Jason Read the Room stuff, even if I have to drive from Seminole County and run into you at a walk-ons or something.
You might be able to do it there. If you super chat me $100, I'll tell you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna hold you hostage for money, but maybe I have a price. I don't know. I think y'all can read between the lines, right?
I think so. Alphase Roy T. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Says McMillan slides into the X. How about shopping Godwin, Jacoby Lane, or Ted Hurst? If we can trade back in the first and get another second.
So I don't think that right now the team is willing to part ways with, or I should say, see the departure of Mike Evans and decide to ship off Chris Godwin at the same time. I don't think they're going to do that. That'd be rough. Like if you're Baker Mayfield to lose both of those guys in the same
Yeah.
offseason,
Because if you're Baker, then you're like, all right, well, they're trading away or moving on from the best receivers. Like, why am I staying now?
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Florida boy in Atlanta. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Says Bucs would have paid the same $20 million per year. State and local taxes in San Francisco are 13.3%. He took a $2.7 million pay cut to leave Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the themes of today's show is that he left because the 49ers give him better opportunity than the Bucs do.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the main takeaway. T-Level, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, not a mercenary, not a diva, but a burned defector. 3rd and 28 justifies it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame Mike for leaving.
I don't either.
James Freshett, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says Patriots wanted to pay Godwin a lot more than we did. Wonder if Jason was on the phone with them this offseason saying ... still interested. Well, that's the problem with this stuff because last year the Bucs could have easily just been like, no, you take Chris, enjoy it, and you can't foresee what's going to happen and the fibula injury and everything like that. But now it's tough to trade Chris Godwin when he doesn't have the stats.
Yep.
Like the reputation can only take you so far when you don't have the stats in your most recent season. And you're coming off of a serious injury and you had a separate injury that kept you out for a majority of the season as well. It's just, you're not going to get anything for it, really. And the $22 million, that's guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
SRQ Salt, thanks for the $1.99. Says, if Mike was signed, that have been $90 million in wide receiver cap. It would have channeled out a little bit.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been 90 all on one thing, but it would have been a lot of money. L. Smitty, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says Mike was drafted when I was 10 years old and leaves on the day I turned 22.
Oh gosh.
He has both broke my heart and made me realize my mortality today. Well, happy birthday to you. Sorry it didn't go the way that you wanted.
Yeah.
Shout out Pisces season. Hope your day gets better. I don't really know what to say, but I hope you enjoy the rest of your birthday. Maybe have a fantastic meal.
Right.
And
Matt, you know who I was thinking of today, like right when the news broke that he was going to be gone, or the things we had reported and said were probably going to happen actually happened. I was thinking of this guy right here, Mark Cook. He absolutely adored Mike Evans, and the feeling was mutual. Like he and Mike actually had a really good relationship. And boy, just to have Mark back on the podcast today talking about this with you and I, just imagine what he would have to say. We kind of have like an uncensored podcast. We'll let like a curse word fly here or there, but I can imagine the rant that Cookie would have had had he been around.
Everyone would have got it. Bowles would have got it. Glazers would have got it.
Jason
as well. He'd probably make some joke about how San Francisco struck gold with Mike Evans or something like that.
Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
if you're a newcomer to the podcast, that's the late great Mark Cook. Died a couple years ago now, right after the Bucs Super Bowl. It was his last game. Was the going to the Bucs Super Bowl in 2020. Died in 2021 at the age of 50. Gone too soon. Ginger badass. Yep. Love him. Miss him. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, miss him a lot too. So, moving on. Geist 8569 says my heart was only broken after Allstott retired. Hey, at least you didn't see him in another jersey.
That's true.
Which
that's true. Yeah.
Geist 8569 with another $2 super chat. Thank you. Says too soon to say Cansey is injury prone. No, I think it's too late to say that.
Right.
That dude's been injury prone since day one.
Yes. Yep.
Garrett Lehman, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Says Mike Evans would rather play for NFL Chernobyl, pay 40% more in taxes, and smell homeless shit every day than spend one more season with Todd Bowles.
Oh my God.
It's a great comment.
That's
not exact.
That's a Hall of Fame comment there about the future
Yes.
Hall of Famer. Wow.
Right after talking about Mark Cook, there's a Mark Cook type of comment.
That's probably in the vein of Mark
R.B.
Cook.
Cook. Yeah, for sure. Coptic Corey, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says Ibuka fell off as soon as teams started scheming against him as our true number one wide receiver. Not because he was burned out. Teams rolled their coverage his way.
No, I think that's fair. It is. I've never thought of Emeka Buka as an actual number one wide receiver. I always thought he was like the replacement for Chris Godwin eventually, right? And Chris is number two. Chris is not a number one. He's number two. So the quest, the challenge, the problem, the opportunity for Zach Robinson is can you win with a bunch of twos? Because I think Jalen McMillan could be a number two, right? Can the loss of your number one, can you fill that void by having a bunch of twos? We'll find out. That's what's going to happen this year. I will say this, though. Jackson Smith-Njigba for the Seahawks, who was the most dominant receiver this year, right? 10 touchdowns, 1,793 yards, right?
Yeah.
He had 628 yards in 17 games and 4 touchdowns as a rookie. And I'm not saying that Emeka Buka is better than he is, but he had a less underwhelming season, and he was only playing with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett at the time, right? And, I think DK, was gone and Tyler's gone. So he's the number one guy there now. But he went from 628 yards to 1,130 and 6 touchdowns. And Emeka was almost there. Emeka was almost at those numbers that Jackson Smith-Njigba had in his second season as a rookie. And then, of course, the huge takeoff this year. We'll see how high that ceiling is with Emeka. It may not be that high. I don't know. But we'll see.
CJ07, thanks for the $4.99, says, fans, Jason, we want Sadiq. Jason replies, we got Sadiq at home as he signs Kate Otten. Also, does our draft needs change now that we lost our wide receiver one and cornerback one?
It starts up front, I think. They've already drafted wide receivers. They've already drafted corners, right, with Benjamin Morrison and Jacob Parrish. And you got to play the guy. Those draft picks have to work out. You got to play him and see. I'm not saying they're not going to draft a corner. They're not going to draft a wide receiver, but I don't see that happening on days 1 or 2, Matt. Do you? Not with needs at edge rusher, inside linebacker, defense.
To me, it's all defense, especially after the Otten signing. It's like now tight end isn't as much of a priority as it once was. Yeah, it's inside linebacker, it's edge, it's D tackle. Those are the 3 most important, in my opinion. Guys talking about things. Thank you for this $5 super chat. Says, not the worst time to lose Evans. Ibuka and J-Mac looked great at times. Godwin can rebound, use all the money to bolster the defense, and I have optimism. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. That should be the game plan.
I agree.
Whether they can execute that is another story.
Yep.
Noah Miranda, thank you for the $4.99, says, Bowles was asked about the fans after the season and, quote, said it's not his job to be concerned with the fans. Good news for him, there won't be any.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how many Bucs fans show up for Bucs football this year, for sure. And,
what type of reaction Bowles gets? Like, do they put him on the big screen? Everyone starts booing or whatever the case is? Yeah.
I'm just like season ticket renewals. Like, how is that going? Right? Like, that's going to be interesting.
Dash Mo, thanks for the $4.99, says Jason gets too much credit for drafting starters, makes no trades, only signs undrafted free agents from the bargain bin, so his draft picks are forced to start.
Well, I mean, there's 2 schools of thought there. You're not wrong, okay? And the fact that, they're going to have to start Benjamin Morrison this year at corner, whether he's ready or not. Or maybe you put Jacob Parrish in there and you put J.J. Roberts at nickel. You're not wrong in that analysis. Keep in mind, though, they had to do the bargain basement stuff for a couple of years because of the Super Bowl, right? I mean, Tom Brady had a bunch of dead cap money and it just kind of snowballed. Ryan Jensen, that was dead cap money because, he had that season-ending or career-ending knee injury. So I'm just saying that we have to have a little bit of perspective here and not rewrite history. They won the Super Bowl, and then they had some serious dead cap money to where it squeezed it. Remember, they could only afford Baker Mayfield $5 million,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true. Yeah, which is
so
crazy. I think,
they're out of it now, right? To a large extent, but that's the thing that you got to keep in perspective here is now they're out of it, but for those couple years, 2022, 2023 for sure, a lot of dead cap money, even into 2024.
Darius the Great, thanks for the $4.99, says letting Mike walk could be a soft rebuild. Baker and Godwin next season, that's $90 million in cap freed up.
Yeah,
Could be a rebuild. You would lose your quarterback, but could be a rebuild if they struggle out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Cecil D, thank you for the $4.99, says, is it too late to fire Todd Bowles and save Mike before an inked contract?
That sounds like
San Fran.
Yeah, that sounds like a John Hughes movie from the 80s,
Sure.
At the last minute, the guy gets the girl and, holding up the stereo and whatever. I mean, that's like, they stop Mike at the airport. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, they call it Mad
I
for
love
Mike
you.
or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
DP Tunchi, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, our wide receiver group is fine. We need to spend the money that Mike was offered to get Trey Hendrickson.
We shall see. He remains unsigned as it stands right now. Price tag's too high.
Noah Miranda, thank you for the $1.99. Says, coach it better, play it better, 2026.
What if that's the marketing slogan for the Buccaneers?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's
the
on the
2026 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to coach it better. We're going to play it better. Buy tickets now.
Sitch Happens Cat, thanks to the $4.99, says Atlanta has their 28-3 that will never be lived down, and now we have that 3rd and 28 that will never be lived down. Ironic.
Oh boy, yeah, that's good. Y'all are coming today with these comments.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, listen, sometimes in situations like this, the only medicine to remedy something like Mike Evans leaving is through laughter and comedy.
That's right.
So got to commiserate one way or another.
I agree. Well said.
Huge Purple, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, how's a broken neck injury not hurt your depth? T-Mac. Or J-Mac, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, because he recovered and he played and looked pretty good in some games.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
Black Gold 1999. Thank you very much for this 1999. Says, I still can't get over the 3rd and 28. I still can't get over the 3rd and 28. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be something that unfortunately lives in the lore of Todd Bowles and his tenure of coaching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Still not as bad as 28-3 with Atlanta because that was in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you had 2 chances to get off the field and you didn't.
Whew, that was bad. Yeah. So I'm going to drop that link to our post in here about 3rd and 28. And if y'all want to maybe like that, retweet it, whatever, that, help it go viral, help send a message that way. Right.
Definitely. All right. Moving along. SRQ Salt, thank you for the $1.99. Says, curious, did we break Pewter Report podcast numbers today?
Today between both shows, we might. Yeah, we certainly might. We're over the 2-hour mark for this episode. Yeah,
and we did, I want to say, like an hour 15.
Yeah,
earlier. So we're over 3 hours of podcast today. So
yeah, in terms of time on air. In a non-draft show,
that's true.
These are records.
Non-game show.
Yeah, these are records for sure.
But thank you everyone for joining us, because the reason the show is this long is because y'all are listening to us. Right. So appreciate that. Wellesley Jr., thank you for the $4.99. Says trade a 2nd-round pick, 2027 2nd-round pick. And Godwin for A.J. Brown. ... Thoughts?
I don't think the Eagles would do that.
I don't think you want to bring in a moody receiver when morale's already low.
Yeah, especially when
you got enough talent there.
Yeah, especially when that receiver would have to share, touches with, he's having to share touches with Devontae Smith and in Philadelphia to begin with. Now he goes to even more crowded wide receiver room.
Yeah.
So you already have one receiver leaving because of targets, and now you want to bring in another guy who's going to really bitch about it out loud rather than be a team player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's a good point. Comp JG has been a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for 3 months. Has a great comment. We went from "we are the crew" to "we are screwed," or "we are the screwed."
Yeah.
Yeah. Another T-shirt for everybody. Meets McGee, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says the offense will be fine. Which edge out there?
I would say Hendrickson or Joey Bosa, probably the two, with Khalil Mack off the board, Kwity Paye, Jalen Phillips, Odafe Owe. Those are the guys that are signed elsewhere. So I would imagine Joey Bosa, who I had on my Bucs battle plan, or he would be the cheap option. If they can swing Hendrickson, I think they would probably try to do it.
Yeah,
but I just don't. I don't know.
Pretty quick though. All these edge rushers,
yeah,
like
I just
quicker
don't know
than I
what
think
their
I even
threshold
imagine.
is. Yeah,
yeah.
And if it comes down to Dallas and Tampa, I don't like their chances. I mean, Jerry would just.
Well, Dallas was trying to go after Rashawn Gary, which is funny because he was with Packers and you just traded.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they got him, didn't they? They traded.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah,
so maybe they're done there.
Albinoro Gaines, thanks for the $1.99 super chat.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Christopher Oxentine, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says Cookie would have had a field day today. By the way, it's pronounced
Oxentine.
Oh, Oxentine, like time.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Christopher Oxentine, for the for the clarification. We appreciate that. We want to get everyone's name.
That's right.
On the show.
Yep.
Wellesley Jr., JR, don't know. Let us know if you want us to get it right. Thanks for the $1.99. Says more Mike, maybe Levante David get to see more bowls. I don't know if that's center, captains.
Maybe captains, I think.
Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, though.
Yes,
we appreciate
thank you.
Nemo Hose, thanks for the $1 super chat. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And then another super chat from Albino Rhino Games. Thank you for this $4.99. Says, what do you think the next move should be personally? I think it's got to be edge rusher. I know we just listed a couple names. I think it's got to be edge rusher, or I'm fine with another inside linebacker. But I think edge rusher, just for how much we've talked about the lack of pass rush this season, that would be the number one priority.
John Spytek making some moves out there in Vegas. Now they had to spend like $100 million, not in cap room, in actual cash, because they've been below the NFL threshold for that for so long that this is the year they have to catch up. So they have to literally spend $100 million in cash. What does that mean? That means they actually got to pay that money. Like, for example, Max Crosby was set to earn $30 million in cash. That was how much his base salary was. So when they traded him away, it added, I think they were like around $70 million. Now they're up to $100 million. Well, you're doing a pretty good job out there today. John Spytek is. Center Tyler Linderbaum, linebacker Quay Walker, linebacker Nakobe Dean, wide receiver Jalen Naylor, defensive end Kwity Paye, cornerback Eric Stokes, defensive end Malcolm Kuntz, and they traded for Teron Johnson. So the Raiders are making a lot of moves today for a lot of veterans because they have to. I mean, they got to spend some money. But that's interesting. We have a couple more super chats, then we gotta wrap it up here because we're over 2 hours. But thank you very much.
Yeah. Zap Brannigan, thank you for the $10 super chats. Remember last year when we were talking about the Super Bowl window being open? Now we are here pining for the loss of the greatest offensive player in franchise history. Wild.
Yep. It can turn on a dime, man. It can turn on a dime.
Really can. Tommy 907, thanks for the $9.99 super chat. Says, can Trey Hendrickson or Joey Bosa consistently play deep coverage?
Todd Bowles
was defensive against that. He was defensive against that at the combine.
Yep, he wants to know. He wants to know. It's been an honor to have this many people tune into our two podcasts today. And if there's any other big breaking news tonight, if they sign an edge rusher, we might be back to doing another podcast tonight. Probably has to be a big signing though for that to happen. Otherwise, we'll talk about it tomorrow. And if we have to do an emergency podcast in the morning, we'll do that. We're here for you guys because you're here for us. So thank you very much for all your support. Greatly appreciate it here. Make sure you check out pewterreport.com. We've got a ton of stories up. We'll have some analysis pieces coming as well. And we have our Bucs free agency tracker that's updated whenever news breaks. So please make sure you check that out. That's on pewterreport.com. And if you want a quick link to it, just go to our X page, at Pewter Report. It's pinned at the top. So that's a quick, easy way to just find it and check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. Presumably at 4, maybe earlier, but if it is just at 4, we'll kind of recap some of the other moves the Bucs have made. This was obviously not that they made this move, but this was a Mike Evans-centric episode. But, we'll talk more about the team and what's next and everything tomorrow. So in the meantime, if you're not already doing so, please follow us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We're at Pewter Report, and our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. So please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on this video how you feel now that Mike Evans is no longer a Buc and on another team. So that's it for this evening. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.